Welcome back to Starloop News, where we uncover the emotional truths behind the world's biggest stars. Today, we bring you a story that spans decades of music, fame, heartbreak, and a grudge that never fully healed. At 82 years old, Paul McCartney is finally opening up about the one thing he stayed mostly silent on: his strained, unresolved relationship with Yoko Ono. Paul McCartney, one of the greatest musical minds of our time, was not just a member of the Beatles. He was, in many ways, the glue that held the band together. But even glue can crack under pressure, and nothing applied pressure quite like Yoko Ono's presence. From the moment she stepped into the Beatles' sacred studio space in the late 1960s, McCartney reportedly bristled. It wasn't just her proximity to John Lennon, it was that she dared to exist in a space that had always been just for the boys. He even described her presence as workplace interference. The creative chemistry they had spent years building began to unravel, and Paul, unlike the rest of the world, never truly moved on from that moment. But to understand Paul's reaction, we need to go back. Born in 1942, McCartney's early years were shaped by hardship, the sudden death of his beloved mother, and a home filled with music. He bonded with John Lennon over their shared grief and love for music, and from that the Beatles were born. Through school bus rides, talent shows, and smoky gigs in Hamburg, Paul was always focused on the music. His ambition, songwriting genius, and perfectionism helped elevate the Beatles to untouchable stardom. By the mid-60s, Paul had become more than the cute Beatle. He was the band's musical director, constantly pushing boundaries from the classical sweep of yesterday to the concept-driven masterpiece. SGT, Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. He fought to keep the group innovative, even as they were breaking apart. Then came the turbulence: Brian Epstein's death, John's spiraling drug use, and growing tension within the band. And into this storm walked Yoko Ono. Paul wasn't the only one caught off guard. Yoko's constant presence in the studio broke a long-held rule: no girlfriends or wives in recording sessions. But John insisted, and Paul, ever the diplomat, tried to accept the new reality. He even bent over backwards to accommodate her, according to Beatles historians. Still, the balance was off, and it never recovered. Paul later confessed that in those days he simply didn't like Yoko, her avant-garde ways, her assertiveness, her closeness to John. He saw her not just as a disruption, but as a rival. But time has a strange way of softening sharp edges. Over the decades, Paul and Yoko's relationship evolved. From cold side glances and passive-aggressive lyrics to cordial visits and mutual respect, their journey was long and complicated. Paul eventually defended Yoko publicly, even calling her badass in a Rolling Stone interview. He admitted, "She gave John a sense of peace and identity that perhaps even the Beatles couldn't provide." Still, the wounds lingered. After Lennon's death, the issue of songwriting credits reignited their old friction. Paul wanted to reverse the famous Lennon-McCartney order on some tracks, but Yoko refused. Through her lawyers, she argued that rewriting the past damaged John's legacy, and Paul eventually backed down. Not because he lost the fight, but because he chose peace over pride. Now in his 80s, Paul McCartney carries decades of music, love, and history on his shoulders. He's lived through Beatlemania, deep heartbreak, public scandals, and lasting love. And while he may never have fully forgiven Yoko for what she represented during the Beatles' unraveling, he's come to understand her, not as an enemy, but as a part of the story, a chapter in the book of one of the greatest bands the world has ever known. So, what do you think? Was Yoko Ono truly the reason the Beatles broke up, or was she just caught in the middle of something already falling apart? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Starloop News, your backstage pass to the biggest stories in Hollywood and music history. Tap the bell so you never miss a beat, and keep watching for more hidden truths, unforgettable legacies, and untold drama. Stay curious, stay legendary.